We are live on Adam's new fantastic phone.
Yay!
It has like 20 megs or something.
20
What is
megs.
this? You're using full screen mode and what is this? Get out of here. However, if you're holding your phone, okay, I don't know. We're gonna have to deal with that. I don't know how to get rid of that. Okay, we are live, and I'm still trying to be the frame master here. No, eh?
No, for sure that's gonna slide down. Bro, you gotta get prepared before we start.
No, we go live.
First rodeo.
It's because you have a Kleenex box here.
Kleenex box.
There's a little Kleenex thing that's like jank in it. This whole thing is jank because of a Kleenex box. Okay, I'm still gonna work on it. Will you help out with some audio here?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm kind of having fun watching you fucking have fun trying to find the right balance here, but this isn't working. Bro, we've done this.
Huh? You said there wasn't Kleenex. Here.
We've done this many times. You know you have to put the book in front of the thing, too, so that it stays. Like, you've done this before.
There's mad Kleenex here. What are you, sick?
Bro, there's like a pack of 10 Kleenex, and like 7 of them are still in there, fuck.
This man's been sick. Okay, now we got it. Hello, how's it going?
It's going good now that you freaking Mr. Frame Master figured his fucking shit out.
We're in HD.
Arty time! Arty time! Arty on! Excellent!
So, you got a new phone.
I got a new phone, yeah. I'm like, most of these people don't care that I got a new phone
What
because
was
for
the
them
phone
it's normal to get a new phone. For me, it's not normal to
Well,
get a
what
new
was the
phone.
phone you had before? An iPhone 4?
iPhone 5S.
5S. It's ancient. And they kept updating
That
it
was the
so
first smartphone I ever got. I hate having a smartphone. I absolutely hate it.
You didn't have Instagram on it, you didn't have anything.
I don't have an app on my iPhone at all yet, no.
No. So now you got this new phone.
Yeah, and now I have
It has
an
like
app on it.
lenses everywhere.
Yeah, it's. I guess it's like better.
Got 3 cameras in the back.
Better monitoring for making sure the world is safe from you know, Instagram stories, stuff like that. I guess.
You know, yesterday I wasn't able to post stories or posts.
That's odd. Why do you think that is?
I had to update.
Oh, you had to update.
They had this new update that I
Forced
had to
you
do,
update. Oh yeah.
or else you couldn't run a business on the Insta.
Yeah.
I had to agree to some things that I'm not sure what I agreed to. And here we are.
Mm-hmm.
We are back. We are live on the internet.
Mm-hmm.
The 2019 internet where you're either using YouTube, Instagram, or that's it. Nobody else is anywhere.
Mm.
Got
Well,
those-
Facebook.
Everyone knows on Facebook. My mom's on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
Wondering why no one's there.
My mom's on Facebook too, and fortunately for me, a lot of the people who buy my art are my mom's age and demographic. So I still managed to make quite a few sales on Facebook. I sold my Galactic Dude guide to a lady who follows me on Facebook. I sold some prints recently to people on Facebook. I sold stickers to people on Facebook.
Did you ever sell to someone with the catchphrase "We are live"?
No.
Oh wow. Neither have I.
No. We are live! So that's like, what does that mean now? What's the prompt like?
I don't know. I was hanging out with Mark the other day, and he swore that he came up with "We are live," and that I inadvertently stole it from him. It's possible.
It's very possible. I don't know. You definitely didn't steal it from me because you used that from like the first time we went live or something, and I don't know where it came from. But anyway.
Yeah, it just happens to be the catchphrase.
So Arty time. What's going on in your Arty world these days?
The festival just ended.
The Mural Festival?
Yeah, so I'm back to my regular life. You know, painting some paintings, selling some paintings, putting them in boxes, and shipping some boxes.
Mm.
I did some shipping today on a Wednesday, which I don't normally do. I normally do it on Monday, but hey.
Your frame master, like, it's kind of bothering me, this whole frame
Whoa,
master
whoa,
thing.
you're not the frame master.
Yeah, but it's my phone, so I get
like
to
that
at least
now.
play around a little bit, because, like, I don't know. There we go. This should be better.
Ha!
Yeah, that's better.
Let me sit up then.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, is when you're way down here and I'm up there.
Well, I'm
it's
frame
like it's
master.
horrible.
I work the frame no matter what's going on.
All right, good stuff. So there we go. Now that we've mastered the frame, so what were we saying? Mural Festival. You're back to selling paintings.
Well,
the regular.
you gotta be careful what you wish
Is
for.
Bob
in
Ross
life, you know?
3000 still alive? That's what I want to know.
Of course, Bob Ross 2000 is still alive.
Nice.
Bob Ross 2000 did a painting today. It was very nice on your 20 by 20 that I got off you.
Nice. The late night canvas store.
Yep. So he sold me a canvas last night for $5, a 20 by 20, 1 inch thickness. I'm not usually a fan of 1 inch thickness.
It's not even 1 inch thickness. It's like
It's not
3/4 inch.
Okay, yeah. That's what I felt. I felt like
They're
it was
3/4 inch. Those are the sizes. You got gallery wrap, which is 1.5, or you got 3/4.
Okay, there is.
Those are pretty much the two standard sizes. There is no 1 inch.
Oh,
like there might be, but they're not
because
standard.
even the 2 inch is 1.5 inch. Is what you're saying. So the 1 inch is.
There's no 2 inch. There's 3/4 inch, or there's like 1.5 inches.
Yeah, but the gallery thickness is known as a 2 inch thickness, yet it is not.
Okay, well I don't know.
Actually,
I don't know where it's known as that because
it's like that in most lumber. If you go to a store and you get like a 2x4, I don't really believe that it's a 2x4.
Oh, maybe not.
It's not technically a 2x4.
I don't know. It says right on the package 1.5 inch thick, so I never heard of this 2 inch thing.
Oh,
but anyway.
Well, I always tend to go for the thicker frames because then you don't need to buy a frame for the art to look good. If you have a 1 inch thick, there is a technique that I've seen Ron English use where he's selling a thin canvas, but it has a big effect on a wall, and that's they put brackets on the wooden frame itself on two sides, and that kicks it out from the wall an extra inch, rather than hanging it directly from the wood or having a string from either side. They have this bent piece of metal, and then a nail is placed in that bent piece of metal. It kicks it off the wall. With proper lighting,
bracket. I get it.
With proper lighting put right on the canvas, it has a drop effect on the wall.
Oh yeah, for sure. It'll cast a shadow and it'll make it look fantastic.
And that's.
But I mean,
that's
not to say
that's used.
That's not to say with the
canvas.
With the 3/4 inch thick canvas stretchers, you can still make really nice art on those, and people hang them without a frame all the time. The trick in that case is either, well, like Germ's urban style, he lets it drip over the sides so that like it shows it's worked over the sides. Me personally, I paint the sides of my canvas black, and that's where I put my logo and my website like on the side. That's like my branding of my paintings.
But you could tell, like just looking around, that the nicest ones are the gallery ones.
Well, I mean, yes, to a certain extent, but like.
Just has a presence.
It's also like they're also much more expensive canvases. Well, much more. They're more expensive canvases. So like
they're like not even $5 more. Even when
the
you're
bigger
at
sizes,
4
they're
foot,
more.
you're in 4 foot. It's $5 more.
No.
Yeah, it is. It's $5 more, and if you're talking about like a 24 by 24, it's $3 more. So it's always worth it to invest in that small amount. That does on the sale end. It could be $50 more, you know, hundreds of dollars more. Just because you put in $5, I think you should do it. Unless you have a frame that fits. If you have a 24 by 24, the frame that you found for $1 at the church thrift, then yeah, go buy a cheap canvas because it masks it. That's what the point of the frame is. The frame is the art.
I mean, at the end of the day,
presentation.
Like, most canvases are just canvas. Like I've painted on a lot of different brands of canvas, and over the years when I lived in Costa Rica and then moved to Canada, and like I've never really found a brand of canvas that's like I can say is my favorite or that I find is better or worse than another one.
No, you gotta check everything. Any canvas that you're buying, you gotta check them first. You can't, like, if you buy a pack of canvases, it's probably to do tests. You're not buying a pack of canvas and hoping that every single one is fine. You always open a pack and there's one that has a knock.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't stretched properly and has a little bit of a...
Yeah, if you're buying canvases that come in a multiple pack, then yeah, there's usually going to be 1 or 2 of them. Like, I've bought multiple packs of canvas where one of them had, like, a staple that was, like, in the wood, and it was, like, causing a bump and stuff like that, and weird, or they're not stretched nicely, and there's, like, a dip.
And is that even worth painting on?
No, not in my opinion.
Because you're giving yourself just hardship in the end, right?
You're
trying to save this little defect that you otherwise just need to let go.
Yeah, I mean, it's like my paintbrushes that I get, my cheap Chinese paintbrushes that cost like 16 cents, the tips fall off of them sometimes. I could glue them back on, but when I have 100 more sitting next to me, it's not worth it for me to go get the glue and glue it and take the, like, when I can just be painting again in 10 seconds.
It's considered a defect. And
yeah, it's a defect. I throw it out the next. Like,
when I go to the art store, I take, let's say I'm in a 4x4. I take the 4x4 and I start finding a 4x4. I take the 4x4 and I start finding a flat piece of ground. And I keep putting them down on the ground and seeing if the four corners move. If they move, it's warped. Don't buy it.
See, I've never.
And that's their issue. They can fucking sell their warped shit, but you're there to find the gem. I'm gonna give you $40 for a fucking canvas. I want the gem. I want it to be stretched perfectly. I don't want stains, because your canvas is actually touching ground. You don't want that garbage.
No, I mean,
what if you want to leave the white unbleached canvas? Now you got stains on the bitch, and it was your choice. You had a rack stack of 50 of them, and if you take the one off the top, and I've done this. This is why I'm so adamant about it. I've done this. I bought like 3 in a rush, and then one of them ends up being, when you put it on the wall, it cocks off the wall. Like, the bottom corner will not stick to the wall if the 3 other corners are on, because it's warped. And now you're forever like, I'm gonna have to sell that for like $120.
That's another thing.
So the person feels okay.
Okay, well, here's 3 things you can do to kind of like mitigate that. Number 1, like you say, check your canvases before you buy them. I never checked them for the warpness. For the main thing that most of the canvases I was buying were small, and I could tell right away when I was painting on them on my table if they were warped or not, and they almost never were when they're, 16 by 16 or less.
Smaller ones warp less.
They warp way less. Another thing to watch out for is humidity can warp a canvas that's not warped. Like, I know for a fact that I've had paintings that are mine that I've had in a humid place, like on the top floor in the summer when it's humid, and they'll warp a little bit, and they'll get that thing where the one corner might come off the wall, but then in the wintertime when it's not so humid and it's a little cooler and like, it unwarps. And that's a factor that's hard to mitigate as an artist. So like, if I'm here in Canada painting and you buy something from me in November when it's 10 degrees outside, and I send it to Florida where it's 96 and humid, it might warp a little. But one way that I mitigate that and mitigate the problem selling it is, I've shown them before, and I have some again somewhere, but 3M hanging strips. Because take those 3M hanging strips, put them on the back of that corner that's warped, stick it on the wall, bang, now it's flush with all the rest. And that's the way that I hang most of my art, is with those 3M hanging strips. And that's the way that I've avoided having people have that problem when I'm selling them the art, because they don't notice that there's one corner popping off, because there isn't, because it's stuck to the wall. And then when I do take it off the wall, if they buy it and they notice that it's sort of a little crooked, I'm like, well, that's why I use those strips, because they make sure it stays there. And if you want some, I have extras, and I'll even sell you them. So having those 3M picture strips around can help in a lot of ways.
Yeah, definitely.
It helps save your wall. It helps save your art when you're moving it around. You don't, like...
Because I had a problem with a 4-footer at my house, a personal piece, and I just nailed that corner right into the wall. It fixed the issue, but when you take it off, it wants to bounce back to its warped position. I want to talk about presentation and how important it is for your art. And that's why we're talking about getting a frame if it's a smaller thickness. If you're selling things that are paper or very thin, you got to frame them. When people are selling prints on Instagram, they're just holding the print. Cool for the picture. But ain't no way you walk in a gallery and they're moving prints and it's just like pinned to a wall or something and not in a frame.
I think I sold over $10,000 worth of my prints without having framed them.
How's the picture? Picture's just on a black. It's just on a black.
Yeah, there's just a print on them, like on a wooden background, I think.
That's still a frame. Because the picture itself is geometrical.
But people know they're not getting a frame. I mean, it's like on a table.
Okay, yeah, no. I'm saying there's no way you're walking into a gallery. Gallery situation, I'm giving you a room to sell these prints. You're telling me you're scotch taping them to a wall?
No, of course not. Of course not.
Putting them in a frame.
But it depends what kind, because I have been into galleries or artist stores like Cosm's shop, Alex Gray's store, where they have some of their prints in like the poster rack for thin ones, and they're not displayed in a frame. Like, they're not even the size of the poster thing they're in.
They're sure they're $10 in that context.
Yeah, or no, they're probably like 50 or 60, some of them. But anyway,
That's
yeah.
matter. It's the framing is the context. You start putting them in a postcard rack, they're worth the postcard price.
For sure.
You put them in the golden frame, they're worth the golden frame price, and it's the same fucking product. So be aware of that. You know, the context and the framing of your art. You could take inks. Do you have the jazz cabbage somewhere?
Oh, I hung it already.
Oh, okay, you hung it.
You can go get it off the wall though if you want.
You should. At one point, if you take a piss or something, get the jazz cabbage and the Smurf.
The Smurf is already tucked away, but
because he got some inks from me.
Yeah, I got some more art from Germ,
and one is in a frame. I think the Smurf is more worked and worth more money, but if I
clearly the one in the frame looks much more valuable.
Yeah, but I'm the artist and I know which one took more time and which one is like a more powerful graphic, and I'm telling you, the frame will trick even me.
No, it does. It tricks everyone. So
and
let me go get it, and I'll go get them.
The frame
if you brought them up there,
so the frame I got at a church thrift. At the church at the end of my street, they always have frames and like weird canvases, mostly frames, and they'll sell them for $1. With that said, you get your frame, and then you have your dimension, and you build a graphic to the dimension, because or else, you know, it's harder to make a piece of art and then go to find a frame for it. It's just the way it is. It's harder. You have to pay more money. So you're better off thrifting and backwards engineering the frame. And this frame, best frame. This frame, okay, so the ink is worth, you know, what the hell does a fucking piece of paper and ink worth? You know, most of the time it's free. I'm not gonna tell you why, but most of the time it's free. It's glass. There's glass on this frame. But in this frame, that piece of paper is worth, you know, over
a lot more than this piece of paper that's
over
not in a frame.
And a piece of paper could be worth $120. But this one with this thing, what is this thing right here that's still there, and it's not really centered, hurts the value of the paper. And then you have to find a frame for that. You're at a weaker, you have less leverage in the deal. You know, so it's just, and even in the deal, you got this for way less.
Yeah.
Even in the deal, he got this for way less, and then this, it was like easier to talk him up, you know? It's already framed, and he's like, "Where did you get that frame?" Yeah, he's already loving the frame.
Where you got
You're hooked. So go to your thrift, get a frame, backwards engineer it. That's my 2 cents. You could see that in this frame, the jazz cabbage goes right to the edge, the hands go right to the edge of the eyes. The jazz cabbage goes right to the edge, the hands go right to the edge, and the eyes go right to the edge. The only way to do that is to get the frame first and backwards engineer how much space you have and draw within that space. So that's just 2 ways. Most people have sketches, most artists have that level of art being produced.
I'll be honest, I have a total different opinion on framing. For me, I'm the artist that creates...
let me finish my point.
Okay,
you're going into a different thing.
Yeah.
A lot of artists have draft art, which are just like, you're working it out on paper first. This is a good way to turn that into money. Where Adam doesn't really do drafts, so when he's done a painting, he backwards engineers it as a print.
Yeah, sort of.
So that's another way. If you don't do drafts, it comes out in a long process of discovering the art. But then once it's found and discovered, then you can mine it. So there's 2 ways.
So for me, my opinion on framing is a little bit like this. I mean, I make art, and the art that somebody looks at and likes is going to be, I hope, the painting that I make. And I understand totally how a frame can make something look different or more elegant or more, can elevate a piece of art very much in a certain way. However, I think that by throwing a frame on a piece, you're also putting, how can I say it? There's so many styles of frames, it's hard to pick a style of frame where you're going to know that that's, or maybe it's not even, maybe that's not even a thing, maybe it's just a fear that I have. I'm afraid that if I pick frames for my art, that I might pick frames that aren't in style for home decor, or that, like, I don't know, or that'll be too expensive or that'll be too heavy to ship, or that'll make all kinds of other things, because I sell most of my art to people online.
Or you might have to stick with that style of frame.
Yeah, exactly. And like, I don't want to deal with it. I think a frame is a way that somebody who buys my art can personalize it to match their home decor.
Yeah.
If they have a super sleek modern home decor and they like one of my more minimalist mandalas, bang, they can add like a more minimalist black frame on it. If somebody likes one of my more ornate ones with maybe one of the religious related ones, like my passion and faith kind of thing, they might want a big gold ornate frame on that thing. I mean, personally, I'd like to see it in a big gold ornate frame compared to like a sleek black frame if I was going to put it in a frame. But, and that's the thing, that's where I feel that that's the way that a person who buys my art can put their touch on it, is with the frame. And especially,
I love to see that
especially since I sell so much of my art online, it makes it easier to ship. It just makes it easier for me not to frame them.
Oh, it's very understandable that if you see a picture of something in a frame, you might not get the frame in the art world. It's very possible that you might see something that's, and that's what you were just saying, the branding issue. If you find a really nice frame and you want to have it as part of your branding, perfect, use it. And when you sell the piece, don't sell the frame. It comes out of the frame, and a new one comes in the frame, and you always have that frame for your branding.
But make sure you're upfront about that when people are buying your art.
Oh, yeah, 100%. 100%. Like, the frame's not for sale. Sometimes I do offer the frame for extra money, so that's one way to try and, you know, weasel your way out of keeping your frame and saving money on the ship. Is like, oh, yo, by the way, this is the price, and this is the price with the frame. And they might come at you just for the piece.
Now, one thing,
a lot of people will be like, fuck that, I'll get a frame. It takes a specific type of person who's like, fuck you, I'm going to figure it out. Because the majority of people want it sealed and delivered. They want it in a fucking bow. When it comes to art, and you really have to acknowledge that and become aware of that as an artist, that people don't want the half step. There's bargainers out there that will do the half step, but the majority of people, they want the liquid glass on it, they want it varnished, they want it finished.
Well, they want no steps. They want to get it, open it, and put it on the wall. They don't want to go. They don't want to go shopping for a frame.
I've even seen people that can't even be bothered to put it on the wall.
And that's why I finish. That's why I finish all my art nicely, so that it can be taken out and just hung on the wall, and it doesn't need a frame. Like, it looks good on the wall without a frame.
Yeah, that's definitely, like, you have that vibe as an artist that I admire. You're aware of that, hyper aware of that.
Yeah, no, I mean, I finish all my paintings.
Whatever you call the fucking, what do you call it? What to have your name on everything and all that stuff?
Branding.
No, obviously I would have, no, come on.
Provenance?
Provenance. Yeah.
Okay.
You're an artist that's adamant about provenance, and I think that that's admirable.
Yeah, I mean, I really think it's important, and I think that, that, like, it's like if it, you know, everything Nike sells has a swoosh on it. Everything that I sell, or almost everything that I sell, unless there's like once or twice where I forgot to add my logo to things. But most of the time, it's going to have my logo, and a few times I forgot were lessons about not forgetting to brand my things, because I notice a big difference.
It goes beyond branding provenance.
Yeah.
It's like branding effectively. If you want to have
when it comes to an original piece of art, basically, like, I sign it on the back. I sign the title, my name, and the date on the back, or like the year, not necessarily the exact date, but I always put the year. And then on the bottom corner, like the bottom, I put my logo, and then on the, like, if you're facing it on the wall, it's going to be on the right hand side. There's going to be my website up the bottom corner.
You know, like, in this day and age, it wouldn't be the dumbest move if you buy a piece off an artist, screenshot his post with it, him with the canvas, you know, screenshotting something, printing it out, sticking it in the back of the canvas, and putting it on the wall.
100%.
20 years from now, you're going to be like, bless past me for doing that.
I'm pretty sure.
Because who knows what Instagram does with our fucking info and all that stuff. And you'll be able to say, yo, that's legit, like, up. Screenshot. It would be so funny too. It's like a screenshot printed out of Instagram from 2019 with the artist and his post, and you're like, yo, and that's,
if you're an art
that
collector,
makes it like,
if you own an artist's original art, and you don't have any provenance on it,
and that's what, like, provenance is. It's the proof.
The proof that it was that the artist created it, and that the chain went right from the artist to you, or right from the art. Like, say say I sold a piece of art to Germ, and then Germ sold it to Jesse Sueda, like, and then like if I owned it and then Germ mailed it to Jesse and said, like, Germ would get a letter from me saying, hey, this is an original piece of art, thanks for purchasing it, blah blah blah. So now Germ has the chain from me to him. If Germ sold it to Jesse and wrote, hey Jesse, thanks for buying this, man, I needed money for my rent this month, like, I'm glad you got rid of this shitty piece that Adam gave me, and I hate
mad provenance.
Like, now it's going to have the provenance that it came from me to him and then from him to Jesse, and that chain is what the provenance means, because provenance can be like hundreds of years. Like, there's books like on the antique book market that have 800 years worth of provenance. They were in like rich families' libraries until like 1690s, when the reform happened in Britain, and then like it got taken by the monarchy, and then a couple of years later it was pushed back into the family, but it got put to the dump. Anyway, there's objects that exist that are in collections and in museums and art and books, and you know,
and they're grailed,
antique objects, like whatever.
It's a grailed object.
They have provenance of who's owned them over a period of hundreds of years, and that trail is a big part of the appeal of the object, is knowing its history and knowing where it's been and who had it and who owned it and where it went and what it did. His story, exactly.
Yeah, so the story makes the art worth more.
Right.
And the provenance is the acknowledgement of the story being true.
Mm-hmm.
So work on the story, make sure your story's fucking fire, and make sure there's provenance that goes with it to back it up. And that's what art is, you know? And it transcended even acrylics or oils on canvas to books, swords, guns, uniforms,
armor,
all kinds of
goblets,
human
grails,
stories. And I think it's really important as an artist to look into all things. The key that unlocks the biggest door in this universe unlocks all the doors. So you can look for it in, you know, in Antiques Roadshow, and learn about provenance, and that becomes worthwhile to your artistic career if you have the key that unlocks all doors. So in this scenario, it's story, and how can building a story or learning about how important human story is and how you can make it affect your art.
Well, I mean, I think it goes with everything that humans get interested in, is there's almost always a story in it, or if there's not a story in it, at first, like, somebody might hear a song and love the song, but then, like, they want to find out who wrote that song. And then when they find out, maybe they want to find out if that person wrote any other songs. And if they did, listen to them and then find out, like, oh, that one really touched me. Like, what are those lyrics? And then because they're maybe hard to hear the first time you hear it on the radio. You missed some of the lyrics because you were driving. And then you go read the lyrics. And then you're like, oh, that sounds like a breakup song. And you Google the person and you realize, like, oh, it was like, this person used to date Taylor Swift, and, like, you know, it's a breakup song or some shit. But, like, there's all stories, and it's all connected. And, like, that's the thing that makes people want to stay connected, is, like, the evolution of your story. And, like, I hope some of our fans, like, watch these Arty Time podcasts to follow some of our stories.
Well, yeah, in an age where the internet moves so fast, people are making frivolous content that means absolutely nothing, and it's
frivolous means nothing. Frivolous, you mean?
That's the irony of it all, my friend. And that's why podcasts are so important, or you know, the true meat.
I want to remember that word.
The true meat of the matter, which is just learning real in-depth content, is what we're missing nowadays, because we have so much fast content that we're losing. You know, we have less true friends. We know a lot about nothing, and nothing about a lot. You know, and that's the sad situation of our world. No one's a master of anything. They're fucking fake jacks of all trades, and even me including. You know what I mean? Because I'm a product of this fucking culture, so I know enough about a few things. But if we were in the past, I would be stoned for the lack of respect that I have for the mediums that I'm in. You know what I mean? How I treat certain things. It's because of the culture that we're in, and I'm a byproduct of it, and I have to work on honoring certain things and doing them better so that someone who's young can look at this and be like, I need to keep that in mind and one up me, and we turn this whole thing around.
Yeah, I mean, you know, like, I'll be honest, like, I felt like social media for a little while, like, connected me with a whole bunch of people outside of my personal life who were interested in all these things that I was. That, like, a lot of the people in my personal life weren't. And, like, I felt disconnected, like, and I wanted to meet more people who were into the same things that I was. And then social media connected me with thousands of them. And then all of a sudden disconnected me from thousands of them.
Yeah, so you disconnected from the local network because
well, I was connecting with this thousands of people who had all these awesome interests that I did, and like I started to feel like the things I were into were super normal, and that like a lot more people were into them. It was really awesome, but like I started to spend less time with my local friends and my friends who were interested in cars and, you know, watching Breaking Bad and stuff. I'm like, hey man, I'm chilling with all these artists in Colorado online and in Australia, and they're buying my art and it's cool. And like we're all friends, and like I'm buying their art, and we're like sharing each other's posts, and we're sharing each other's things, and we're showing each other groups on Facebook where there's things for bumping, and like that all got eroded away. And now there's like
pulled out.
Now there's like hardly any of those people that I see, but because because those relationships I had in real life that weren't like as focused on the same kind of interests that I had. Like, I didn't keep those up as much, so then it's like, okay, the rug was pulled on your online circle and network, mostly, and you've kind of, like, your in-person network isn't the same anymore, and in my case, exacerbated because I had moved away to Costa Rica for 5 years and lost touch with a lot of my friends here in Montreal, so when I moved back, it was, like, it's hard to get into.
And that's how Arty Time becomes a conspiracy podcast, and we start talking about the reality of technology. The reality is there's some sort of sinister plan going on to disconnect humans from the real world, and I don't know, it might be about selling things and marketing, and that's why it wants to render you depressed, so there's a hole to fill, if you catch my drift. It might be that. It might be as simple as that they just want to render a hole to fill, and then they put an ad and make you convinced that it's the product that'll fill that hole, but really it was a disconnect from your fellow human.
What filled that hole for me when I was like in that situation where everything was connecting and stuff was like, it wasn't necessarily buying something that made me feel good. It was buying something from somebody I knew and followed online and knew that I was supporting their passion because I was part of it. Like when I bought Chris Dyer's art and would see him travel around the world after, and I would see that manifest in front of my eyes in his emails. And that was before, you know, really, I was never really on MySpace, so I know he was at that point, but I was only getting his email like once a month back in the day.
You're not the regular mainstream person that I'm talking about when I say like there's a plan. You know?
No, obviously.
The plan is like for my mom and people like that, where it's like, hey, this is the thing that people are buying now.
But it is for people like me too, because the plan's working, because the plan took my business away where I was connecting with all these amazing people.
Yeah, but you're not going to buy Levi's now because of this.
To the point that I have to work at a call center again.
This is more for like, let's go back to my mom. My mom's sitting there. It's about to be, you're about to see artists and local people that you're going to support online. No, you're not. You're going to see Levi's ads. And that's literally, that was the wave that was about to hit that person that never got to them. They stopped the whole tsunami to the mainstream, which is like, you're not going to see that. And had we have seen the golden age continue, local businesses would be doing amazing.
Yeah.
Just as they are actually in the real world. They don't do well online, but in the real world, if you go to your local town, the local business, you know, is beating the Starbucks.
A lot of times they are.
A lot of times they're being the Starbucks.
A lot of times they are because they
Where you would be convinced because of the online that Starbucks would be running the show. Nah, go out there and the story of the local is more powerful. The story of the local
and the meeting the local who's there, and you go the next day and he's still there, and you go the next day and he's still there. Whereas at Starbucks, it's
your name on it. They're trying.
It's a new barista every 2 weeks. You know,
but they're trying to put your name, trying to personalize it for you.
Mark with a C, Kark.
Yeah, they're doing that on purpose so that you post online. Look at how much they fucked up my thing, so that they end up on your post. They're not stupid, okay? This is like serious sinister shit going on. We're gonna misspell their names so they post about us, because if we don't, they're not gonna post about the Frappuccino. Where the local guy, he might get the post. You don't have to. He just knows your name, and he'll be like, "Yo, check out the new like me and 1AG." Like when they made food, it wasn't even on the menu. Posting, you know, these guys are making off the menu shit for me. That's so legit. You never get treated like that. Not even at your grandma's house. You go to your grandma's house and this is the menu. You don't even have a say. This is lasagna.
There was one exception. This dude Ash, who owned a Subway chain that I used to go to on my lunch breaks way back in the day at call centers, and I ate there every day because it was like close and it was like perfect. And he had these things where it was like you buy a 6-inch sub, you get a free 6-inch sub, and he had these pamphlets lined up. So every day I'd take one of the pamphlets and get a free 6-inch sub, and like no one else took these pamphlets. And he's like, Adam, we got to know each other. He's like, Adam, those pamphlets, they're there all the time. Anyone can walk by and get a free sub. Nobody ever does. You're the only one that does. And, like, it's awesome. I love to see you every day. I know you're here every day, and since you've been coming here and people walk by and see you here every day, more people come every day. So, like, I ended up getting to become friends with this guy, Ash, who owned this Subway restaurant. And it was the only time that I'd ever been in a chain restaurant where I got to know the guy like that. But even then...
It could have been called Royal Sub.
Even then, it was a franchise. It was a You're right, because it was just a franchise, and he was the owner, and he worked there behind the counter himself. It wasn't
Sub Supreme. It could have been called whatever.
You're right.
You would have went because of
he was
Ash.
a local business owner. The Subway could have been anything. You're right.
Yeah, and I feel that's the way when you go to like one of those sit down restaurants where there's teenagers cooking for you in the back. What are you doing paying $20 for having teenagers microwave for you? You're paying for the branding or something? Like, it's weird. Maybe you're out with the friends and you're just enjoying life. It doesn't matter, you know? But if you're going to be going consistently there, you need to reconsider what the fuck you're doing with your life, because it's literally a 16-year-old in the back cooking for you and you're paying top dollar.
No, they're microwaving or deep frying frozen food.
Yeah, it's like go to Walmart and go to the McDo. It's the same thing. But anyways, that's why the story is so important and why a local kicks ass. Now, what I'd love to talk about is the difference between a man and a myth, or what makes a legend. Because Ash could become a legend to this town. Bob Ross 3000 is becoming a legend. And that transcends me as a human. And isn't that important to sell your story and to sell your art? And you know where I learned this from? Wrestling, bro.
Wrestling, huh?
Wrestling. That's the key to unlock. You have the key to unlock things, bro. You can unlock it in anything. Okay, so wrestling was a phenomenon in the 70s, you know, and 80s.
In the 80s, yeah, I wasn't around in the 70s, but Jim Duggan was my guy.
It left gymnasiums and went to large stadiums.
Well, it became theater. That's the thing.
Theater.
It stopped being a sport and actual wrestling, and it became theater.
The story got better.
Yeah.
You know? So this is what I'm saying, the key to unlock all things. So the story gets better, but what is the story that got better that brought wrestling out of the gymnasium and made it a household name? It was Hulk Hogan. It was fucking Hulk.
Could be argued, yeah. I don't know enough about the history of wrestling.
Or characters that transcended their human nature, because Hulk Hogan clearly has flaws. They found out about it later. He hates the blacks or something like that. They attacked him on all kinds of human things. But you can never hurt Hulkamania, who wants you to take your vitamins and say your prayers and be good. That's what he stood for. Americana. Then they'd pit him against a Iraqi or a giant Frenchman, and it would build the legend of those traits of this man fucking eats his vitamins. That's why he's so big. You know, it fucking wasn't his vitamins. But that could be used for your art career, is my point. Is that wrestling is no different than art. And if you're going to be a background wrestler who doesn't talk about his story and just goes out there and delivers his finishing move, then you will be that guy. That's your painting. Great. Great suplex. You know? But you're not going to be Hulk Hogan. You're not going to be Bret the Hitman Hart. You're not going to be those names that are associated with that. Because the ones who get big had catchphrases, had things that make them legends. Same thing in art. Salvador Dali, you know, Andy Warhol, Basquiat, and Keith Haring are legends.
Mm-hmm.
They're not artists, they're legends. Keith Haring did the metro system. He painted in the metro system using chalk. If people didn't know the how he got famous, chalk was a way to get away from the legality of it.
Subway system for those of you who aren't from Montreal.
What was I saying? Metro?
Yeah, it's only called the Metro in Montreal.
And ironically, I called it the
That's
subway.
it.
Okay, so he's going in the subway system. If you spray paint a subway system, you're doing it on public property, you're gonna be destroyed. They're gonna destroy you like there's no tomorrow. Private property, there's more papers involved and it might not be as crazy. But even in Montreal, you tag the fucking subway system, they're coming at you like you've never seen before. He did it with chalk. So he could confidently do a performance in front of people.
Mm-hmm.
What are you going to do? Take me away? It's only going to show the ridiculousness of this because it's chalk.
Mm-hmm.
And what are you scared of if it could be removed? That's a thing of legend. That gets people talking.
Mm-hmm.
And then later he took that exact same style that he was chalking fast because he was still shook and turned it into paintings, things of legends. Salvador Dali's famous one, I don't know if you know about it, was paying for everything all the time. That was Salvador Dali's tactic. Oh, no, I'll get the bill. And everyone in his entourage thought that he was richer than them and therefore bestowed upon him the energy of you must be the greatest artist of all time and talked about him in high regards and da-da-da. And that's something that you could use in your art career. Don't fucking be overly generous where you hurt yourself, but know that it's important to be generous at times. A sneaky tactic of mine is to hold a lot of money in my pocket. And if an artist impresses me with something, or it's a key moment that I need to perform, I might say, I want that, and not walk to an ATM around the corner, but take out hundreds and hundreds of dollars out of my pocket. The next time they see me, I promise you this, they will assume that I have that money in my pocket even if I don't. That's a Salvador Dali technique. And the other ones, but I'll let Adam talk for a bit. What do you think about all this?
Oh, I think you're hitting on a really awesome point, and I think that that building up like a legend and building up something bigger than yourself is the way that artists get remembered after they die. You know.
Remember that time Adam did that thing with the minimalist shit?
Yes and no. Yeah, it might be something specific,
and it might have been a week.
but I think it's the name that it's the big. It's the aura of it's the leftovers of whatever you created and how you were viewed in the public eye and the ripples and exactly the ripples through time and through society and whatever. And there's definitely, like, for me, my long-term goal to do that is to build TOSM and to have it be a place where people can gather and be creative and recognize each other's connections to each other and to the world. And you know, basically, I want to build something a lot like COSM. I don't want to rip off their idea, but like it's like a church. They're literally a church, and it's not like the Vatican's the Vatican. COSM can be the Vatican, but there can be all kinds of other little spots like that are communities where creative, visionary people come together, and like the weirdness is shared and discussed and open and respected even.
And I don't want anyone to think that this is a daunting task where it's like, whoa, dude, like I don't know if I could be a legend. Everyone has their story. And if you open up to the fact that you are important and you do have a lot of potential, your story's going to appear before your eyes, and it's not coming in an instant. Don't overburden yourself. It's a lot of small, minute steps over the course of decades. You're not even stressed about making a fucking Mandela church temple in Costa Rica.
No, why would I be stressed about it? I mean, it's like such a big project that I know it's going to take 20, 30 years to manifest itself. So like...
Say that again.
I know that it's such a big project that it's going to take 20 to 30 years to manifest itself.
Yeah, but your first line was, I'm not stressed, I know it's going to
I'm not stressed, I know it's going to take time, and I know it's going to manifest itself.
That's so important as in any business to tell yourself, you know? And tell yourself right now, pause this fucking bitch and tell yourself, I'm not stressed, I know it's going to take a long time.
And that's another thing, like that's where I'm at right now, where like
I'm on your side.
I'm glad I'm not feeling stressed right now, because I'd been really stressed about my whole art career before I got this job that's kind of helping even out the financial stress of things right now while the internet is in this weird phase where it's hard to reach people. I'm pretty confident that that's going to change within the next year or two. Something's going to pop up where people are going to be able to connect like crazy again, whether it's
another golden age.
Another golden age. It's inevitable that it'll happen because it's what people want and it's what makes people happy. And when people have something that makes people happy, they talk to their friends in real life about that thing that made them happy.
Yeah.
So, like, you know, that's why I tell people about Minds and Steam It. I mean, I still post on Minds and Steam It.
There's a need for it, and in the past, it's happened 3 times, and in the past it was all when the need was, you know, the need met the demand.
Mm-hmm.
And it's at that phase where it's going to happen again.
Mm-hmm.
Business owners, nobody's happy with the situation.
Yeah,
this is social media. This is our media, and no one's happy with it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's gonna take elected officials, for God's sakes, to make a fucking social media work. You know, and then even then it's gonna get corrupted, and we're gonna have to figure it all out again.
Yeah, I know, but I mean that's the nature of the beast. And
but there needs to be people who are like appointed by society to be like, you can't do that. You can't. No. This is what it was founded on, and you can't just become private all of a sudden and switch the whole fucking gimmick on everyone who made it for you. Because that's what's happening. We're all individually making a platform, and then it's sold. It's sold to the highest bidder, put in front of a board meeting, and they go, this is how we're going to make money with this now. And they flip the script. That's not what we built. We didn't agree to this. If you had Burger King ads from the beginning, we wouldn't have been here. So don't fuck with us, you know? And that's why I think that there should be a, fucking, I don't know, system in place where you can't do that anymore.
Well, that's what I think. I think I think a blockchain social media is going to come up that is going to not need to have advertising as their form of revenue. I think that that's going to appear.
It needs to be that because.
And I think
but the ads will still find their way, bro. It's like
I know the ads will find their way, but the ads won't find their way by being paid through the platform. The ads will find their way by you choosing to follow McDonald's, and then you see McDonald's
just straight up paying fucking LeBron James so that he talks about it.
That's fine.
And I'm fine with that too. You know, if he's willing to sell his market to McDonald's, then that's his business.
Yeah, it's his business and his karma.
But cramming McDonald's down everyone's throats because you took the paycheck, Facebook or Instagram, that's not right. That's just not right. Nobody agreed.
Well, we did. That's the thing is we did agree by using the site.
But it's that fine nuance.
Yeah,
of like,
no. Nobody knows the Facebook terms and agreements.
Like
nobody.
I'm not on Instagram to follow Instagram. I'm on Instagram because you're allowing me to follow my influencers.
And my friends.
Influencers say that the influencers are my gatekeepers, and they say, Germs, it's okay. You can see this McDonald's ad because it's funny or something. Then maybe, you know, they pay Barry Walsh to fucking tell you that a Big Mac is good, and he gets $500,000. I'm watching it. I'm laughing with him because we all know the boy getting paid, but the boy ain't eating Big Macs. You know, that's the world that I want to live in. Where McDonald's literally has to pay the piper, and the piper is laughing and going, yeah, okay, we're gonna fucking do it, and wink, wink, nudge, nudge that shit, and we're all gonna know that we stole from you.
Well, I think, you know, like that's where money comes in, and here's the problem: there's people who are addicted to money, and when people are addicted to money, This is another conspiracy. They don't care. Well, that's the thing. And the people who own these corporations, they don't give a fuck about the users or anything. They give a fuck about, does it make money and can I make money? Because they're literally addicted to money.
Oh my god.
And it's like somebody who's addicted to heroin. They'll steal, they'll rob, they'll cheat, they'll sell their mom, they'll prostitute their sister, they'll do whatever the fuck they need to get their next hit. And that's what the people who are at the top of the hierarchy in our planet right now are. They're money addicts. Straight up. And society isn't doing anything about it, and this is the result that we get.
Because
we get a very shitty society.
Because most people aren't willing to say that fucking bold truth, which is that money's a demon.
It's not money that's the demon. It's the addiction.
There's a demon.
Yo, no, it's not. You can put piles of money in front of Mother Teresa, and she's not. It's not a demon. Money is not a demon. The people that have the addiction to it that's the demon, the addiction. And, like, you can put a pile of cocaine in front of somebody that never did cocaine and isn't interested in trying cocaine, and you know what it is? A big file of fucking nothing. It's the same with money. It's the people that are addicted to having more and accumulating it. That's the problem.
Yeah,
it isn't money itself.
A demon is a personification of a human attribute.
But it's not money itself.
So greed.
Money itself is not a demon, in my opinion.
In the Hebrew magical system, there is a demon pronounced money. It's pronounced money. And he guards and is a fucking demon of greed.
Well, in
and
Spanish,
wealth.
money means peanuts, so peanuts to that.
My point is that money is a demon. It's pronounced money. And if you worship money, then you will be plagued with greed and lust for a wealth that is fleeting.
I think money is a tool, and that's it.
Yeah, okay, it is. But at the same time, it is a demon, and a demon is just a personification of human attributes that could be blown out of proportion by this object, money. So it makes perfect sense in my philosophy. It's like, yes, you could put a pile of money in front of the person who's unaffected by it, and they'll be like, I'm unaffected by that demon. I don't have those attributes, therefore I don't personify them into that object. And that's what you need to do with money, and that's why we're bringing it up. Money has a demon within it. If you don't want to be, if that's too religious for you, whatever, it has bad qualities and traits that could build inside you that will hurt your business. Evil plants the seeds to its own destruction. So, look, a big business like Walmart, they only want to hire men for the upper echelon. Why is that? Men are more susceptible to being possessed by a demon of like money. Women will actually think about a human after a while. A man will fucking, if they're possessed by greed, they'll have Eastern Europeans living in the shop and not allowed out of the shop to clean it at night. And that's what happened in Walmart's situation. They had fucking Eastern Europeans locked in buildings, not even allowed to get out. And other things that they do too. They don't hire people full time. They make them go on welfare. This is all part of that system of thinking, which is, how do you squeeze the most amount of money out of the situation? Yo, but there's human bodies and carcasses getting squished and dying while you're doing that. They don't care. And that's what we have to watch out in the social media sphere. That's what happened to Facebook.
Well, you know what? I think it's really interesting that the conversation went
and it could happen to you
all this way. Because one thing that I've noticed, or that I felt inside of myself lately, is the importance of why art exists and why I make it and why I share it and why people resonate with it, is because I think art is an anti that. Art is like the act of creation. It's not a control. It's not trying to control someone else or trying to manipulate someone else or trying to like gain advantage over somebody by taking something from them to bring it to me. Art is, from my philosophy, art is something I put out into the world with the intention of inspiring people and making the world a more beautiful place. And at the end, if that comes back to me in the form of being able to make a living doing it, that's freaking amazing. But talking about how dark things are, like especially the mandala art I do and the playful 1980s style art that makes people get all nostalgic and remember their childhood and go back to those moments when they were purely happy and just living for the fun of it, I think those oases in this world are needed. And I think they're really needed on social media. I think they're needed for people's eyes to stop and stare at something that they know came from a place of good intention and not a place of how many millions of dollars can I pay so that enough people can see this unhealthy thing that I'm trying to sell. Enough times that they don't care that it's not healthy. They have to have it because they think everyone else wants it, and if they don't want it, they must be weird. Like that's
the nuance.
Like art is the anti that.
Yeah.
Art is
but
the
at the
anti
same
that.
time, art comes right up to the edge and crosses it.
In some cases, for sure.
I'm involved in pop art, bro. Trying to tell me that you're not going to see a Scrooge McDuck holding a bag of money and wonder if it came from a good intention place? It didn't. The person has fucking demons. I'm going to keep pushing that until like... The person has demons. They wanted money. They lusted after money. That's why they painted Scrooge McDuck holding a bag of money. It has no soul. It's sold to a person who has no soul. All for the exchange of money. But a true anti that, like you're saying, is the person who was creative. And another person who saw that creativity on a similar level exchanged, energy in the form of money. Time, it all stands for something. Exchanges energy, and both people are now successful. It's a win-win in this scenario. In the true art form, it's a win-win. The person gets something on their wall, the story that they bought, which inspires them and is part of their life, and the other artist is encouraged to keep going, and reinvest in the business and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's using money, but it's not using money in a dark way. But I'm trying to say it's nuanced. And you need to, as an artist, understand that you might have aspects of the Scrooge McDuck, and you need to catch yourself when you do the Scrooge McDuck, and be like, why did I do that? And because whatever you do brings in more of that. So when you do the Scrooge McDuck, you're gonna have those type of people come in wanting more of that, and that's gonna be something that you have to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I hear.
And their energy comes into your life.
Basically, what I hear you saying is you're talking about law of attraction, like to cut it down into. So you're talking about LOA, law of attraction, whatever you want to call it.
Whatever you do, but it's
the
just
secret. Yeah. You get what you put out. Like however you want to word it. Like I think that's kind of what you're saying, and I think that's kind of why, for me, my art's always stayed the way. Like my message has always been the same. My message has always been the connection, the fact that art for me is a very healing thing. Like the time I spend making art is time that I'm not, in a bar or snorting coke off the back of a toilet in some random stranger's apartment or who knows. Like that's the life I used to live before I painted. I used to be a party animal. I used to work in a shitty telemarketing office, scamming people, selling ads on websites that there's no traffic on. I worked there for like a long time.
I would argue you're just a product of your society.
Maybe I was, but at the end of the day, inside I didn't feel good. And when I make art and when I look at the art that I make, inside I feel good. And when somebody buys that art from me, inside I feel even better because it's like that was recognized. It's like that validation. Connection from my heart to someone else's.
Yeah.
Whereas when I was doing the scammy stuff, it wasn't a connection from heart to heart, and it wasn't even a connection from mind to mind. It was a connection from wallet to wallet, and like that's it. And like I was laughing about people that I sold that like, oh, I got them, like I lied. I said the right lie at the right time that they agreed to do this thing.
High five, snort.
Yeah, and it was I didn't care, and it's not true. I did care. And that's why I did all the drugs and the drinking and made this fake person that wore a suit and tie and walked around like he was a big shot because if I didn't do that, the real me inside wouldn't be in that situation. The real me inside needed that suit of armor of that other person to be able to go do that. And
which was our society. I
sold myself because like deep inside I sold myself for money, and it was that demon I guess that he's talking about. It was money that was motivating me, but there was like this little light somewhere in that whole darkness that I invested a lot some of that money into Chris Dyer's art.
We all have that
like
light,
that seed I guess planted this seed of my art career, I guess getting in touch with Chris Dyer and the art scene and like learning more about it.
That became your story and your legend to a degree. Your early legend was that you did drugs and you weren't the best person, and now you're becoming a good person. Support me.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the most important thing, is to be yourself, and even if it goes against the grain, I'm wearing a Say No to Drugs shirt.
Mm.
Okay? I do drugs. Not hard drugs. I do drugs. I don't think though that you should be fucking showing that to the kids. So I wear a Say No to Drugs shirt. When our society, face it, is all about like, we're cool, fucking every show on TV is about openly selling drugs and drugs this and drugs that. That's not cool. I don't care what people say. That's not cool to openly have that in your society where the kids can see. If you have it hidden behind a veil like the fucking adult thing, fine. But our society is having a fantasy about drugs and crime.
It's pretty amazing.
And thuggery, and it's stupid.
People look at me like I'm crazy when I say I've never watched Breaking Bad.
I know, I've never watched either. Why would I want to watch something about meth?
I kind of look at them like they're crazy when they say they've never heard of Alex Gray or Chris Dyer or GermDee. I'm like, what are you looking at? What are you spending your time on?
They literally made a show where the guy has dying people of cancer, so you're okay with the fact that he's selling meth because they literally, in the first couple episodes, place that moral dilemma in your face. for you to sympathize with the guy. This is all like well thought out by writers. If you didn't have that aspect, it's like in Disney movies. Why does the mom die right away in the first scene? It's so that you watch the fucking movie, dummy. They don't do that act to you. You're not going to be emotionally invested into closing that loop of, fucked up, bro, you killed his mom. So that's
basically... You're talking about Land Before Time?
Every single Disney movie.
I saw that in the
Think about it. Think about every single Disney movie, someone's dying in the opening scene. Oh. And that is a very psychological, it's a very powerful psychological trick to do to people. Now, that's not as evil as the drug thing. The drug thing has to do with the eroding of the morality of our culture so that you could sell them things down the line.
So I guess what it comes down to is like
stupid shit.
Like,
oh, my point is stay true because everyone has the light in them. They know it's fake. You could be doing the Scrooge McDuck act and there will be people that will feel it as fake, bro. They'll smell the doo-doo a mile away and they're like, something not right about that. And you'll only be able to sell to people who are in the fake. And then you'll be stuck with them. Total fakes who suck. You don't even want to be around them. So, but if you were real, the real people like you would find you. And that's the law of attraction. They'll find you. You'll have a better time in life. You'll be wealthy. You know, you might not have the same amount of money, but you'll be far more wealthy. So you might even have more money.
Yeah, I mean, I think the happiest I've ever been almost in my entire life was like the year probably 2014-15 when I made like, I don't know, $18,000 off my art. The first or second year I did it full time. It was like I made 5 times that when I worked in the call centers. But it was like the happiest I ever was because I got up every day. I did what I wanted to do on my own schedule. I didn't have a boss. I made amazing things. I had people all over the world resonating with it. My DMs were full every day. I had 99 plus notifications.
And the potential for growth was clearly visible.
The potential for growth.
You could have made more.
I could have, yeah. Like,
so
that was part of your happiness. The growth was there, exactly. The vision for the future, like the knowing that, you know, that more people were finding me every day. Somebody would share my post, like sometimes people would share my post and I get like literally 200 new friend requests from that one person who shared my post to their page that had 80,000 people following it.
And if you're watching this and you don't believe it, it's the golden age.
It was a golden age.
If you weren't there, it was a golden age.
I know, we talk about the golden age maybe too much, and maybe...
no, because it's going to happen again, and we'll be like, we're in it! Yeah, you can fucking see what we're talking about.
And next time I'm in it, man, I'm going to milk it way harder than I did last time.
We'll be here telling you that it's happening.
We'll be here like, here's the new golden age, get on there, do it. Like
it's the great floods coming, you know? Build an ark, get emails.
Build an ark, man. I've been telling people to build an ark and get on Minds and Steam it for 3 years now. I have 30,000 followers on Minds. A lot of them aren't active very often, so I end up with roughly the same kind of interaction I get on a Facebook, but I make sales on Minds. I have patrons who found me on Minds. I get a lot of people who watch Arty Time podcast who see the YouTube link on Minds, because unlike Facebook, when you post a YouTube link on Minds, people will actually see it. Steam it pays me in cryptocurrency when people upvote my posts. I still post on Steam it fairly regularly. So I still have money in the bank. Like,
if you're an artist, the point is you got to get in front of eyeballs. That's part of your job, is to get in front of new eyeballs. One of the main ones we're talking about today is using legend to get in front of eyeballs. I've been meeting people, when I meet them, they go, oh, to the other person, this is Bob Ross 3000. The other day, this guy did this to me, and the girl was like, oh, I love Bob Ross. Great positive association. You know, like, I guess you love me by association. But the fact that person went, oh, this is Bob Ross 3000, that person said, oh, I love Bob Ross, the marketing is all done right there, through the legend. And that might be happening without me even being there. You have to see Bob Ross 3000. So consider that your story is being sold unbeknownst to you in the world around you, and that's like a Minds or a Steam it. So build a legend, be bold. I know it sounds weird. Adam has a great idea that I can't even put forth because he'll punch me in the face if I start talking about it.
I have 10 great ideas, and I learned not to even tell Germ about some of them anymore.
They're smart, you know? But be bold is my point.
Yeah.
Don't be meek about it. You're an artist. It's okay. Everyone's wearing a mask out there. It's a stage. They're all wearing masks. They don't want to fucking, you know, and they won't admit it, most of them. But as an artist, you could wear a mask and and show that, and people will appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
They'll appreciate that. Oh yeah, I wear a mask too. It's funny what you're doing. I see what you're doing, and I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
That you're like touching on it in a light way. So use that to your advantage. Wear a mask.
Mm-hmm.
Make it obvious. When you're on character and off character. Or change characters every so often, and that will make it obvious.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. I mean, there's a lot of things that that I want to do and that I want to make happen, and like I guess I'll talk like about something that I find is a challenge for me is when I have an idea, and especially when it's a really good one, like I often don't carry through with it. I get nervous, I get paranoid, and the biggest thing is with social media being the way it is, I start to think like, what's the point? What's the point to put all this effort into this big idea for 32 people on Facebook to see it and 16 people on Instagram to see it? And like, I get depressed before I even start doing the thing just because I'm thinking about the social media gauntlet that I have to run after I do it.
Yeah, but think about a guy in 1902 who was literally like, who the fuck is he doing it for?
Mm-hmm.
When no one in his fucking town cared, and he did it, and then the rest of history was like that.
And
guy,
that's
that
where
guy
I
in
was,
that town in Switzerland was a fucking.
That's where
guy.
I was saying I almost wish I didn't have the experience with the Golden Age.
Oh yeah, because you know what you're missing.
Because I know what I'm missing, and I know that I put in a lot more effort than I did back there for a tiny fraction of the response that I used to get. But at the end of the day, the response that I get from my art career is more rewarding inside than anything I ever do at my job. So like there's a lot to be said for that, because that feeling I get when somebody supports my art with their purchase and is excited to get something from me, and like we're having that conversation and what inspired this, and wow, it's so cool, and that's amazing, wow, you painted these by hand, I thought they were digital, and da 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 da. Like, these kind of things are exciting for me. These conversations are what feeds the fuel that makes the fire, that makes the things, that makes more fuel, that makes more fire for everyone to enjoy, and it's like a feedback loop. And like the social media took away a big part of that feedback loop, is the feedback from the fans and the friends and the viewers. And like some people might point at me and say, well, see, you're not a true artist, because a true artist won't care about that. And you're right, a true artist won't care about that, but an entrepreneur has to fucking care about that, because if you're doing your business full time and all of a sudden you can't pay rent or groceries, like it's hard.
Hey, you could be an artist.
I found it hard.
If you want to be a
I'm still finding
artist,
it hard to let go of that and to refocus and move forward, pretend like, and just be present with the things that are today.
The truth of the matter is if you want to be a professional artist, you have to care about those things.
Mm-hmm.
Or you have to hire someone to care about those things.
Mm-hmm.
And if that person that you hired didn't care about those things, you're not going anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So somebody's got to care about those things
Mm-hmm.
if you want to be a professional artist. This is the truth of the matter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, business
you
is
can't
not
lie.
business is not a bad word. Sales is not a bad word.
No, money is.
Money is not a bad word.
No, it is. It's a demon. It's
No,
literally
it's
the
peanuts.
But yeah, you catch our point. It's not a bad thing to be salesy. In fact, it's important.
In fact,
that you make it incredibly obvious that this thing is for sale.
Yes.
If you do not make it incredibly obvious, then someone needs to tell you that you need to make that incredibly obvious.
Yeah, it's hard to make sales when it's not incredibly obvious, and that's what makes it even more hard now on social media to make sales, because if you say for sale, no one sees your post. If you say available, no one sees your post. If you say DM me for pricing, no one sees your post. If you put a price or a dollar sign, no one sees your... Yeah, when I say no one, I mean 99% less people than used to see my post.
You'll notice the effect, and you might be discouraged to say that it's for sale, and that just means you need to be very nuanced about it. Maybe in the picture itself, there's a piece of paper that says for sale, and it's not written in text, but found in the piece itself. They might have robots for that, though. So you might start talking about it in your stories. They might have robots for that, though. They legit might, bro. They legit might. Because you know that test to see if you're a robot where they like click the things that are roads, and they have pictures, and you're supposed to click the things that are just roads? That's all robot shit, bro. So, anyways.
Oh, well, of course they have robots. If you can dictate
They know when I post a picture of a t-shirt They know when it's a t-shirt.
Did you watch?
So you have to wear the t-shirt.
Did you watch?
You have to fucking wear the t-shirt and pretend that it's a selfie, and be like,
in your story,
nuanced
in
about
your
it.
story, yes, they have robots. Did you notice on our last YouTube, next to it on your channel, there is a printout, like a written, what's it called, like court reporters when they a transcript. Yeah, as we're talking, there's a transcript happening live on your channel right now.
They know this is a conspiracy podcast. They know this is all a front, and this isn't really about artistry. This is about the conspiracies that plague us. There's robots. They know when I'm posting pictures of t-shirts.
Fucking robots.
They literally, dude, you think about that. No one, like, who am I supposed to talk to other than this podcast? Dude, when I post a picture of a t-shirt unworn by a human, they know, and they crush the post. What a world! What a world! I have to legit think how crazy I am. If people knew this, they would institutionalize me, bro. I have to literally plan out people wearing the shirt, subtly showing that the shirt is available, and working myself to a crescendo where I say it's for sale and have the post crushed. Because then I'll have an effect because I had slowly done the lesser magic to fucking get whooshed on at the end.
Well, here's what happened to me. You know, I used to share my progress shots almost every day. And people would get emotionally attached to these pieces of art that I'd be sharing over, 3 weeks, a month, maybe even 2 or 3 months.
Here, let me guess. They switch the order in which they show
they start switching the orders so that they're all showing up out of order and people don't know what's going on, and then they stop showing them at all. And it's like, and then even if they do show it to enough people that by the time I finish this painting, 10 or 15 people have been able to watch most of the process. When I finally finish it and put the thing for sale or make prints out of it or make a t-shirt out of it, and then I put that post, nobody sees it.
They'll crush that post.
So
your lesser magic can't be applied.
Yeah, so like there's no feedback loop happening, and it gets frustrating. And it's like, so that's why I'm like...
And it breeds the frustration of, what is it even all about? I should just give up. That's planned. That's 100% action at a distance planned. How do you make third-party content creators that make money that will never sell and advertise with us give up? Demoralize. Simple as that. Demoralize. How do you demoralize? Whenever they post things for sale, we absolutely fuck with them. So that they're here on podcasts talking about it, and my mom would literally be like, that man crazy. He thinks that robots watch when he posts pictures of t-shirts.
Yeah, no, and that's what happened to me, because I have friends who are not artists, and like I was talking to them about what was going on, and like I'm having to plan how
We're talking about hundreds of dollars here.
I'm planning how to beat robots. Like, I'm planning how to write to beat the gauntlet of robots that read my posts, and like I'm putting like 4, like the number 4, and then sale, S-A-I-L. And that worked 2 or 3 times. I beat the fucking...
No, dude, they were clearly going to figure that one out.
Yeah, they figured that one out real fast. But like, just having to think like that every day, I started to feel like a basket case. And honestly...
We are, bro.
Working with social media makes me angry, it makes me stressed, it makes me depressed. It takes a lot of the fun out of sharing my art with people.
That's why, like, and I need to make the narrative more obvious. I don't have internet at my house. I don't even have a phone anymore. Okay, that's how serious this shit is. If you have that stuff and you allow it to take over your life, it might as well be it's more powerful than the money demon. It's like social validation demon, where you're gonna fucking check it every 2 seconds.
I do, and I waste so much time scrolling.
Like, I'll be at home,
and
I'm guilty. I'll roll the
guilty.
joint, I'll sit down,
guilty.
and I'll pick up the phone and I'll check. And now I'll be in there, bro. I'm having the coffee, I'm having the smoke, now I'm in there. And I'm checking things that I should have never checked. What's that hot bitch doing today? And it has nothing to do with my business.
It's nothing to do with my business or even my personal life.
But when you don't have... And I'm not saying you should cut the internet at home. Just think about this and how deep it is. If you cut it, when you sit at home, you're acting on a different vibe. And what's been weird lately, dude... I've been taking a lot of mush, okay? What's been weird is... I've been on the vibe when I'm talking to people. They're talking like the computer, in the sense that online there's a certain vibe that people put out. When you listen to videos, they're all like, they're worried that a skip fucking ad button's gonna come up and they're gonna disappear. they're talking at an accelerated rate of uneasiness and like trying to get the information to you. People in my life have been talking to me on that vibe, and it's like, yo, slow down. Like, I'm here, I hear you, slow it down, bro. No rush. And on the mush, it's been so obvious, the people that have been affected by it. That person who uses their phone a lot, it's like untold the speed they keep going to. And it's like, calm down, bro. Like, I think the phone is getting you. And that vibe of you, how you speak is permeating your whole being. You're stressed. When you're talking fast, you're stressed. Your fucking spleen is moving at a different rate and vibrating weirdly. It's going to cause an ailment. That's where the anxiety comes from the spleen, anger from other organs, you know? But it's the misfiring and the misharmony of that music. It's not firing properly. And the internet, the phone is having this effect on you. When I'm talking about sitting down having a coffee and you going to check your social media, you're going into that vibe.
Well, see, that's why I don't have any apps on my phone.
Or your kidney is now moving differently because of the input that you're putting in. But if you don't, that's why it's important to do Tai Chi in the morning and stuff like that. Find your vibe.
Well,
and then the rest of the day is going to be like, oh, this is the
phone, at least.
Yeah, and that's what I admire from you. And then you'll get hit by the actual wave of the day, which is like, this is a small step you need to do for Tazim right now. And you're like, ah, yes, thank you. I just need to call that person. But if you misfired in the morning, now you're thinking differently. And this is incredibly deep philosophical things.
No, it is.
In the morning, you're going to set your whole path for your day. And that's why people in Asia do Tai Chi in the morning, super early in the morning. They believe that if you set the Feng Shui right, the rest of the day will unfold like that.
People in Asia, like, let's be honest, like, probably as many people in Asia do Tai Chi in the morning as people here do Tai Chi in the morning.
I mean, like, but older people who've made it past 60 usually know a thing or two about the day and how to spend your day, okay? Because they made it that far. And a lot of them agree that Tai Chi is important. And it has to do with just putting yourself in the right vibe. And once you're in the right vibe, people do it here in the West with working out in the morning and stuff like that. Getting the blood flow. But it's literally just a matter of grounding yourself.
Yeah, a positive routine to start your day.
Ground yourself.
A positive routine to start your day. For me, a big problem was, like, for a long time, I would start my day with logging into social media. And that would almost always start my day off on the bad foot. Like, right at the top of my newsfeed. But not in the golden age.
In the golden age,
no, in the golden age, it was amazing.
Serotonin out the wazoo.
In the golden age, it was
sitting there for 3 hours.
Sitting there for 3 hours, and I still had 99 notifications to go through.
Yeah, and that's where the habit was put
And that's where the habit was put in place. And now that I have the habit, it's incredibly, incredibly, incredibly hard to stop. Because I'm familiar with addiction, and for me, the only way to stop something I'm addicted to is never to touch it, not to use it at all. I can't have one beer. So, like, the problem with Facebook is I can't log in to make one post. Because if I do, I use that day. And if I use that day, I'm going to use more that day. So that's where I'm at right now with the social media. To be 100% fucking honest, I have a social media addiction that is uncontrollable, and it's not.
It's not like.
It is. It's just as. In fact, it's worse because it's socially acceptable, and it doesn't make me a moron. Like, to other people that come walk by me, if I'm sitting at my desk in front of Facebook, I'm not a slosh. I don't stink like a brewery. I'm not stumbling. I'm not slurring my speech. I look normal, and I'm acting normal. But in fact, I'm not acting normal.
No, because sitting in front of that box, selling your magnets.
Sitting in front of that box, scrolling for fucking 3 or 4 hours a day.
It's kept you from going out and doing the plan in your gut that's told you for a long time.
It's keeping me from doing a lot of things that I want to do.
I don't necessarily think that you going out selling your magnets is the be-all and end-all act. I think your gut is telling you the door. And once you take the door, the next door will present itself. And you'll be like, oh, I wasn't going and selling my magnets. It was...
No, I always
going
felt...
to a business and walking into a business and selling them my canvas. You know what I mean? It gets the ball rolling on the salesman Adam. That's what I think it does. You go out and you're like, oh, yes, but that's what I did in the past, and that's not the best finesse. I should walk into that business right there and fucking sell them a canvas, and then you will, and you'll be like, aha, now I got it.
Well, I always felt like
the computer's keeping you away from that.
I always felt with my plan, like selling the magnets or stickers in person, is basically I'm selling people my business card. I'm walking around handing people my business
Yeah, but
card
what I'm
and
saying is
getting
you're going to
paid do
realize
that.
you're going to start finessing the
But by
right
hand-
person
but
to
by
get the
handing-
business card to,
But
and not just
the right
anyone.
people to give my business card are people who are willing to pay me for it.
That's what I'm saying.
Right, so everyone who buys something from me is the right person to give my business card to. So my stickers and my magnets have my website on them.
Yeah, but I'm saying,
Say
like,
I sell
to
100
go
a
back
day.
to what we were saying earlier, it would be, in my scenario, local business owners who own shops and restaurants that don't necessarily have a loyalty to a branding, and then you could sell them your branding like you did at the Troisième Mur, but to a more successful business that could pay for it.
Yes, but like I could also meet that person who owns that business in a parking lot selling them my magnet coming out of their grocery store.
Sure. You're going to meet them, and that's when you're going to realize it's better off to go find them and not wait for them at the grocery store.
But I'm not waiting for them. I'm making $500 a day in the parking lot at the grocery store.
Look, you're talking to me as the parking lot salesman, Adam.
I know.
Talk to me when you're fucking platinum, Adam, and you'll agree with me.
I don't think so.
Yes, the storyline. Storyline. Get out of here with
Parking lot
this.
sales Adam was a fucking little rich kid.
Yes, and he'll turn into Platinum Adam, and then Platinum Adam will be like, yeah, that guy's an idiot. You walk right into the bank, and you say, this bank looks stupid until you buy my mandala with your color scheme. And the bank manager goes, you have a TD one? Bitch, I got a fucking yellow and blue right here, or green. And he's like, sold.
Nice.
Talks
very
right
possible.
off, sold. No, because it's such a good story that you know that it's possible and true.
Mm-hmm.
It like has a bit of truth in it where you're like, I can definitely see that happening.
Mm-hmm. I can see it happening more if the bank manager has one of my magnets on his fridge.
Yes, and also it's Platinum Adam making the moves and not that parking lot Adam. They're two different people. Platinum Adam came in with a suit and played the game like he plays the game that the bank manager needs to see. You know what I mean? He must be hot. He must make more money than me. He must fuck a hotter bitch than me. Because he's an idiot who thinks like that. And Platinum Adam knows that he's a bitch. And he wears a flamboyant tie. Platinum Adam knows this. So he wears
this guy, Platinum.
He wears the same color suit as him, but a platinum tie or a flamboyant tie that he would never wear. And now the guy wonders, that's the same suit, but not the same tie, so he must be a different man, a more flamboyant man, a better man than me. How can I get on his level? And Adam says, by buying my paintings, good sir.
Mm-hmm.
And that's literally how Platinum Adam fucks everyone out of that money.
I don't want to fuck people out of their money. That's the thing.
I think to some degree, though, you do have to be okay. Like the whole like Barry Walsh joke that I said before. That man has paid so many dues. He's like a 50-year-old pro skater in Montreal. He's paid so many dues that I think he could take a bite out of a Big Mac on camera and say, Big Mac. And we'd be okay with it as a culture. I think he's paid enough dues where he could steal from them. He can Robin Hood them like that.
Well, I forget.
And it's not a sale of a soul. It's not a sale of a soul.
Who was it?
Because everyone would be like, he clearly just took the money and ran there. You know?
Yeah, I forget who it was.
Because your story is so good, your legend is so good that you can even nudge, wink, wink at things.
I forget which actor it was, but he worked at McDonald's when he was going to acting school, and like he loves McDonald's because after he got out of acting school and he was poor, their dollar menu kept him alive, and like he threw mad respect out in a post to McDonald's one time because of that. Because honestly, like if you're young and you want to work at McDonald's, like I think I even spoke about it on another episode of Arty Time. The guy that owns the McDonald's next to my parents' house, I grew up like literally not even a block away from a McDonald's and lived in there for 21 years, 22 years of my life. And from the time I was a kid till the time I'm almost 40, I've seen that guy who owns it now. He started off as a cashier when he was 16 or 15 or maybe even 14. He was a little kid, and now he owns the place. And it's because McDonald's has like a franchise university where like if you've started working there and you come up through their system, like by the time you're a manager at McDonald's, they've trained you to do every job. You know how to do the fries, you know how to do the burgers, you know how to clean, you know how to do the window, you know how to work the cash, you know everything. So they'd rather have somebody who's a manager buy the next franchise who knows how to do everything than sell it to somebody who just wants to own the McDonald's to make money. So they have a whole McDonald's university where if you go through that program, which you can pay for it through your salary, like you basically
But what do you like about
They
the
basically
story?
give you a free franchise.
Do you like McDonald's fucking free university, or do you like this underdog story that became a guy?
Story.
Yeah, his story.
It's his story.
Yeah, but you spent too much time on the McDonald's aspect of it. Fuck them. His story is that he was an underdog and he fucking did it.
That story with that passion about how they helped him. Yeah. He was an immigrant.
Yeah, it's his story.
They turned his story into something that inspired me when I left. Yeah,
and you're talking about his story, his legend.
And I think it's the second time we've talked about it on Arty Time.
That's why I'm saying it has nothing to do with the fucking University of McDonald's. Fuck them. It has to do with he was a cashier. He could have been a cashier at A&W. It doesn't matter. The fact that he later walked in and he was the owner is what he loves.
Well, it did.
That the person that was consistent.
Yeah.
He had consistency. He had drive. He had will. He had ambition. That's the difference between.
But he also had the experience, and that's why they lent him the money to open his franchise at a way better rate than they would for someone else. Okay, so let's turn it into the art world. Okay, so you work like it's the same. Like if you're in an art scene, and you're in the art scene for a long time, and you get to know people in the art scene, and you get to and you go to galleries, and you're online, and people know your name because you comment on their posts, and this and that and the other thing, and it's a whole thing. You're on their email list, maybe they know that you open their emails. In the future, that could give you McDonald's University opportunities because you're known, you've been around a while, they know you know how to do everything in the art scene, and they see you everywhere, and they know your name.
Not in the future, it could, it will.
It will, exactly.
100% will, it's a known fact.
Mm-hmm.
So
there you go. So that's how McDonald's University has to do with being an artist.
Yeah, no, it's important. Being consistent, having drive, having ambition is what separates a winner from a loser.
Mm-hmm.
Period. I don't want to be mean and say, like, you clearly know people that are fucking losers. The only thing that they're missing is ambition and drive. Will come. You'll build your will. You can have a little bit of will and you can build it. But if you don't have ambition and drive...
But sometimes it's also faith.
Waste.
Sometimes it's faith. Sometimes people know what they love and they know what they want to do, but they don't believe they could earn a living at it. Like, I don't know how many artists I've met that I think are way more talented artists than me, and they've gone to art school, and they know the thing, and they know what they're doing, and they can render things amazing. Like, they're really talented, but they don't have any faith that they could make money at it. And so they don't even try. So, like, there's that aspect, too.
I think you can build faith. I think you can build faith and you can build will. You just need a little bit of will and a little bit of faith. What you needed to have was ambition.
But you need a little bit of...
You need to have ambition. If you don't have ambition, stop drinking fluoride or something.
To have ambition, you need to have faith. I think they go hand in hand.
No, like...
If you don't believe your things are going to come true that you're ambitious about, you're not going to try.
Yeah, but faith, you could tell someone that, like, just... They have no faith. And you're just like, just fucking do it this one time with a small amount of faith. Just, like, invent the faith. And they can do it. You can invent a small amount of faith. And if it works, then faith builds. And will builds, and you'll have to be more willful and more faithful. But if you're so lethargic that it's like, bro, could you just like do something with your life and you won't? That has to do with ambition and drive. And if you don't have that, you need to fix your diet. You need to stop drinking fluoride water, and it'll come.
Alcohol,
like get healthy, and it will come. Don't even worry, it'll fly in through the window. But yeah, you need to fix. If you feel like you're like, oh, I just don't have ambition, then fix your health. Okay? Because humans by nature are ambitious, curious, and fucked up. Like they will have, they're fucked up, bro. We have so much energy that we drown it. We're drowning it in things. You know, overeating, over drinking, over smoking, all kinds of things, just to drown out that energy. Because if not, we'll go crazy. But anyways, yeah, so that's a very stern point that I wanted to make, which is if you don't have ambition or drive, or you know someone that doesn't have ambition or drive, be the person in their life that says, you know, get your shit together.
No, for me, like, honestly, for me, one of the main things that led to me getting sober was a friend of mine in Costa Rica was very honest with me, and he told me how I was when I was drunk and the things that I said and did when I was drunk that nobody else really ever did. Like they were like, they wrote it off as you were drunk, don't worry about it. Like,
or they took distance.
And
no one's saying what you need to hear.
Yeah, nobody really sat me down and was honest about how obnoxious I was, how loud I was, how annoying I was, how how intoxicated I was and how like slurring and sloppy I was. Because, I mean, when I'd be 36 beers into a 3-day long weekend with a fucking 8-ball of Coke in my nose, like, I didn't feel like I was slurring and stumbling everywhere. My brain was going 10 million times faster than my mouth, but, like, I couldn't keep up. Like, I obviously was a sloppy mess everywhere, and I didn't know it. And, you know, I guess on some level I did, but I really didn't. And this guy sat me down and straight up told me, he's like, man, look, like, you're a nice guy. When you're sober, you're the most amazing person ever. But when you're drunk, I don't ever want to see you again. I don't want to be around you. Don't call me. Don't knock on my door. You're an asshole. You're rude. You're obnoxious. This and that and the other thing. And, like, you know, he sat me down and he's like, look, I really wish the best for you. But, like, right now, I don't want to be your friend anymore, you know, as long as you continue to drink. And, hearing it from my mom or my dad wasn't the same because it had been since I was 16. But anyway, this guy really sat me down and gave me the shit that I needed to hear to make a decision to change. And, you know, I hope that some of what Arty Time podcast does is those words to maybe an artist out there who's like on the fence or like learning and like, you know, I hope maybe something that comes out of either of our mouths can be that thing that makes
It'll most likely
makes you freaking do something. And
most of our advice is very masculine, bordering on businessy, so it most likely will be a rude, honest statement.
Mm-hmm. Don't be a fucking Jerry.
Yeah, don't be a fucking Jerry. You're gonna die. Think about all the things. It's so been masculine, abrupt, honest.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I guess the show is, because we're two guys.
And it's also what we wanted to do with the podcast, because there's no one else that's out in the art world doing that. There's all kinds of art business advice coaches out there, and the most of them that I read their stuff, and believe me, I read a lot of it because I'm an artist and I want to have a career as art. So I'll try and get my information from
that's
as many
another
places
honorable thing
as
that
I
you do.
can. So when I read a lot of their stuff, though, it's really not practical. None of it's practical. A lot of it is aimed at artists who already have, you know, $50,000 in the bank that they can invest to fly across the country to go participate in Miami Basel thing and rent a $20,000 booth. And or they're aimed at artists who really aren't trying to sell their art, and they're like artist blogs on technique and things like and materials and things like that. There's not a lot of art business advice out there that's geared at young artists who don't have wealthy connections before they're starting out on their journey.
And they might not even have went to school, so they have no network in the art field. They're starting from square numero uno.
Mm-hmm. I think in a lot of ways having a network from art school can be more of a hindrance than a help in some ways.
It depends.
But it depends how really you like. It depends on so many variables: which art school, where you went, how your personality is, who your teacher was, things like that.
Like Chris went to school and is a successful artist now, and the peers that went to school with him definitely have they look at him with like this allure, like he's a thing of legend, you know, like
he's the one who made it.
Yeah, he's the one who made it. That they were there with him, but he's the fucking Dalai Lama or something like that, and I see it in their eyes, and I think that's a powerful thing. Your legend and who you are is not necessarily who you think you are. It's made up of who you thought you were and who you projected, but the majority of who you are is what people bounced back to you, what they reflected in the mirror back to you, what they accepted as true and nodded and approved and went, yes, that is true. And the stuff that was fake, that people didn't accept, is fake. You could say it all night and day that you're that person, but if society did not bounce it back to you, you are not. And that's why it's incredibly important and validating when people buy your art or your peers look at you like you're the one that made it. When they did that to Chris, I really believe that I saw Chris Dyer metamorphosize into one of the greatest international artists by his own intent, but the majority of it was society bouncing it back and validating it in his own eyes. And he saw that, and that changed his DNA, you know, and made him into Skinny Chris and na.
Well, that's
all
what
that
that's
was
what
happening
that's what
before our eyes. It was crazy.
That's what that golden era of social media did for me. It gave me that like, for me, I started my art career very shortly before that golden era. I mean, I'd only been sharing my art for like a year. I'd only been making art for not even 3 years when I quit my job to do art full time. Like, from my very first painting to doing art full time took me less than 3 years. And I did it for full time for 4.5 years. For the last year and a half of it, like, I probably shouldn't have been doing it full time. I probably should have got a part-time job or something to help fill in the financial gaps. Because my art career became very stressful. It wasn't very fun anymore. It was, making art was always fun. Even sharing it, the reactions I got when I did share it was fun, but that space between finishing the art and getting those responses, like the act of sharing it and going through that gauntlet of algorithms and robots, it wasn't fun anymore. And so sometimes I didn't even do it. Like, I still have some paintings that I haven't shared anywhere. You haven't seen them on the podcast. You haven't seen them on Facebook. You haven't seen them on Instagram. I have 3 or 4, maybe even more little paintings that nobody knows exist, because I just haven't found the motivation to sit there, take pictures of them, put them up on my website, write the description, and then share them on all my social medias, knowing that historically when I do that, not a lot of people see them anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, if you're a follower of any artist or anyone, anything on social media, and you scroll past their posts without hitting that like button, like, hear what we're saying and understand how important that is to hit that button, you know, for whoever it is that you're trying to support and be a fan of or a friend of. Like, hit that button because it means so much.
Mm-hmm. And my apologies if I don't do it. And because what I had said is that, you know, I got rid of internet and all that stuff, so I lose out on a lot of that. I would love to see a lot more art from the people that are in my culture and in my sphere and be more active in that, but I think to preserve my essence and to be the person that I need to be, that has to be sacrificed a bit.
Yeah,
in the weird philosophical sense of it.
In a way, like,
I'll be too much like everyone else if I'm online. Yeah, you'll get the like. Yeah, you'll get the comment from me, but it'll perverse me and change me.
No, and that's part of what my social media addiction has morphed into, is when I'm sitting there, like, I know what it feels like to have a post that I put up 3 hours ago of a brand new painting and it has 2 likes. I know how that feels. So when I'm scrolling through my feed and I see someone's art, I'm going to hit that like. And when I see somebody else's, I'm going to hit that comment, I'm going to hit that like. But then I notice I'm going through my scroll feed and I see that everybody's posts only has 5 or 6 likes. And all my artist friends have no likes on their posts.
People are getting
and it's like
destroyed.
People are getting crushed.
Destroyed.
And so I'm trying to be that guy that's like, yo, keep going. Keep fucking pushing. There's somebody out here who cares. But when I'm doing that, I'm not caring about my own career as much. I'm not not putting my care in the place that it needs to be for
well, the energy is
for me.
Appreciated. It's definitely appreciated.
Oh, I know it is. I know it is.
That you're out there and you're taking the hits and still trying to dish them out. But yeah, at the same time, know that it's a losing fight. Don King has told us that we're falling in the 10th round, so we're falling in the 10th round. Okay. That's what's gonna happen.
It's King Zuckerberg.
Dude, I'm seeing some big artists, and I'm worried for them. I'm worried for them because it's the. You know, I ran a marketing business for a while. You know, I could tell that I'm a person who sees long term, I guess, and I could see your trajectory. And when your trajectory starts to go in the south and starts going down, I get nervous for you, whoever you are. I'm nervous for you. You know. And I'm seeing that with some artists, and it breaks my heart, bro. Because, you know, like, they might act out of desperation, and it might get even worse. Which happened to you.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, then you started acting differently, and your posts were different, and only later on, when you got healthy, did you realize, dude, I was doing it all wrong. Like, how I did everything, and that's how I was doing anything. And it was just, like, a mud fuck of just, like, things that shouldn't have been. And, you know, so know that that's going to happen. we're going to get frustrated, and the frustration might make us do weird things. You might be seeing posts from people that are like, Instagram is not da-da-da-da. Could you like and comment and post? Dummy, when you do that, you're only getting likes and comments from people that are little bitches. And people who buy things didn't give a fuck because they were successful, and they were like, what is this person fucking whining about? And they did that, and they scrolled. Mm-hmm. And that was your sales guy who went, oh, what the fuck is this person complaining about? Mm-hmm. And all you got were sympathizer victims. Now, when you post, you're getting sympathizer victims that are looking at your posts. And they ain't buying shit. So look, I'm not trying to say that as a super fucking businessy person you shouldn't do that. I'm trying to say that how you do everything is how you do anything. Because you were frustrated, you did a frustrated act that vibed with frustrated people. Now you're vibing with frustrated people. It's the fucking law of attraction.
Well, that's exactly what happened to me on Facebook, especially when I was sick. When I was sick, I felt empathy towards anyone else who was sick or going through a rough time, especially anyone who was an artist and having their business go through a rough time and was also sick. And like, so I would like their posts, or I would, you know, react to them, and like, you know, I'd leave a comment like, oh, I hope this will pass soon, or I hope you feel better, and da 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 da. So Facebook started being like, oh, okay, Adam likes to read posts by depressed people who are sick and complaining about how Facebook is ruining their business. So before long, my whole news feed was with people who were complaining about how they were sick and depressed and how Facebook was ruining their business. So now I felt like,
and this isn't necessarily Facebook's
it's not
plan. This is literally you fucking yourself.
It is, but without knowing how it was happening, because it was happening so slowly, and it
wasn't their in this scenario, it's not their devious plan.
I'd never dealt with their algorithms at that way before, because their algorithms had changed. Their algorithms didn't used to show you posts like that. They used to show you posts based on what was most popular among all your friends. That's what would be in your newsfeed first.
Yeah, but Adam, is because like you.
No, but in the golden age,
hold on.
In the golden age, posts by depressed people about how sick they were would never show up in your newsfeed, never, because there was too many posts from people who were posting positive shit.
But this is also a scenario where you're scrolling the positive thing, the negative thing stands out now because that's on your vibe. Mm-hmm. You type into that thing, the robot's like, okay, that's the vibe, and he checks the next time. Okay, you check the next time, and again, you fucking vibe into that. Okay, I'll put 2 now. And you vibe into that. It's not necessarily their fault. You know, that's actually an okay thing to find your interest, because they want to sell you shit. So they actually want it to be your real interest. What I'm trying to say is it's very deep and philosophical in the sense that because you're frustrated and you're not aware of it, you're going to start breeding it more and more, and you're going to go into that hole of frustration and depression. Mm-hmm. Which, you know, happens to most people in wintertime. They're unaware that it's happening in the outside environment, and they let it go too far. They let it come into spring, and now they're depressed in spring. Where it's not supposed to be like that. You're supposed to be aware of the movements of the emotions and catch it, you know? Like, it's okay to be frustrated. It's what makes us make things better. You know, getting heated about something, that's okay. But not being aware of it, actively liking and vibing with people like that, you're gonna trust me. You're gonna hear about it later. Well, would you be interested in buying that thing? I would, but you know I have a medical bill and da 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 da. They need art. I'm not being a vicious person here. They need art to heal. But as a professional artist, if you're a professional artist, you need to also realize that person ain't buying shit. And like, here it is. Here's the healing. Now I have to go and find someone that's gonna pay my bills. So hope you get better. But the person who's buying the bills is someone who's totally healthy, and it's like, but I just sold for this much money, and I'm going to buy art.
To finish my train of thought, where I was going with that is, before long, you know, after a few months of that, I started to feel like everybody in the world was sick, and everybody in the world was depressed, and what was wrong with the world, and oh man, everything's garbage, and what happened to this place where I was in 2012, where all these people were sharing positive stuff, and I was seeing beautiful sunset pictures, and I was seeing art, and I was seeing positive posts about people who had gotten promoted, or gotten raises, or gotten a new business started.
Those posts still exist.
And like, I didn't see them because that wasn't what I was interacting with, and like, that took a while to undo. And now that I'm conscious of it, and like, I'll still, honestly, I still fuck up sometimes, man. I'll see somebody like, oh man, I have, I'm sick and da 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 da, and I'll be like, yo, I totally know what that's like, man. I feel for you. I hope you get better. I hope you find something that works. And then like, a couple more sick posts get in. I'm like, I'm not sick anymore. Get this shit out of here. And it's like, and I feel bad because like there's all these people having these things going on in their lives in my feed. The truth is, I shouldn't even be scrolling through my feed at all.
That's the real truth.
That's the real truth, because 99% of them are people that I don't know, and I never even see them like my posts. And like they sent me a friend request because they saw one of my posts in a group one time, but now they never see my posts anymore. Facebook,
more important that you craft your story, build your legend, than scroll.
100%.
That's frivolous content.
Or even just make art. Even just paint.
That's building your legend.
Paint. Even just paint.
Because the scrolling is doing nothing.
Mm-hmm.
The scrolling is just a bait, just an algorithm to give you the endorphins.
And that's why for me,
so there could be a Burger King ad, and then they keep
for
going.
me, my solution has got to be I have to pay somebody to do that for me, because I can't use just one. I can't use just one. I can't use. It's like if I wanted to go sell art in a bar and be there for 5 or 6 hours. Like personally, I wouldn't be able to do it. I need to have somebody that like could be in that environment and not be tempted to have a drink and ruin their whole night because they're off on a fucking spin and bender. I need to find somebody who has that separation between work and social media. Like if you're getting paid to do my social media, you're doing my social media, you're doing my thing, not your thing. Like you're on my account, not your account, like things like that. Like the notifications don't bother you if it's not your account. You're not like, oh, I need to check this notification right now to see what it's about. If it's not your account, you don't give a fuck.
Yeah, I think it's important to be just consciously aware of the demons that plague us and our business.
Mm-hmm.
Money. What's the demon for internet? What do we call that one? The Google.
The Zuck.
The Zuck.
The Zuck fucking monster.
That's a real one. Like, there's a lot. If you guys are on YouTube right now, Google 5G conspiracy or any internet conspiracy, and it is pretty like interesting. It's the only word for it. There's a lot of people that believe that, and have good evidence for it, that the people who create the technology get it from altered states, perhaps DMT in some. We're talking about like Samsung and like big corporations will take a fucking psychonaut, a guy who can take a large dose of psychedelics, and he will be part of R&D. They will fucking dope this guy up with DMT. Nowadays, it's like DMT, and he'll go commune with those elf machine guys, and they will get hints of technology from these guys and come back and say, something about like this and that, and the scientists will start working on it, and that's how. Anyways, you check it out, YouTube it. A lot of the World War II weapons were through seances, and that's where the technology of our world after the Industrial Revolution really took off, is because of World War II and war and stuff like that. And it was because of the real society, demons, and shit like that. At least that's what the scientists believe in what they wrote. And isn't all ideas coming from inspiration and gut feelings? You know what I mean? Like, all invention comes from a flash in the mind. Like, whoa, dude! And then you try it out and it works. What you tell people later of how you got it is the thing of legend, right? So if you say it comes from a seance and demons, it just makes it sound differently. But really what it was is, like anything else, you were inspired.
Mm-hmm.
And on that note, are we closing the podcast? Because we've been going for like almost 2 hours.
It's been a long podcast.
It's like the best podcast ever. It was very conspiracy laced.
Yeah, it's laced with a lot of conspiracies, and I totally wish like that we could just unzip our human uniforms to reveal the lizards underneath right now. That would be like the best ending for the podcast ever. But instead, I actually have to pee.
just the regular one. Yeah, YouTube Reptilian Conspiracies 2 while you're at it.
Yeah, I do have to pee though. Did you have anything else you wanted to say?
Yeah, I don't necessarily think that they shapeshift, but I do think that reptilians are among you, and that's why in mainstream culture it's ridiculed and brought out as a form of ridicule. Oh, that person believes in reptilian shapeshifters, so that anything that touches on that topic is deemed ridiculous. When really, the reptilian part of your mind is the one that deals with scarcity, greed, and lust, and that's the money demon that we're talking about that rules our nation, and that's why they don't want you to know about reptilians, because reptilians rule the
peanuts.
nation. See you later.